Welcome to Emotionally Healthy Legacy. My name is Elizabeth, and I am a mom of 4. I have 3 boys and 1 little girl. My goal here is to educate moms about emotional wellness and motherhood, learning how to regulate their own emotions in a healthy way, and then teaching their little ones regulating their emotions and how to build close relationships in families. Hi, mamas. Welcome back to Emotionally Healthy Legacy. This is Elizabeth here, and today I have a special guest. Her name is Lindsey Dalton, and I would like to introduce her. Hi, Lindsey.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So I want to kind of catch you up a little bit on Lindsey. She is a wife and a mom of 2 girls. She's also a pharmacist and a founder of the Energy Reboot Method. She helps busy moms increase their energy so they can lose weight, enjoy time with their families, and get more done. She spent years in trial and error trying to increase her own energy, so it became her life mission to help other moms struggling with fatigue and do the same. I think we are all excited to hear this message. Every mom I know could use extra energy and learn how to manage their stress. So go ahead, Lindsey. Tell us your story, how you got into this, and help us out.
Yes, absolutely. So I dealt with fatigue pretty much from the second my first daughter was born, and she's 8 now. But it really got bad when my second was about, I would say, 2 or 3 years old. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. I have always been healthy, eating a healthy diet. I work out, and I just couldn't figure out what was happening with my body to cause so much fatigue. I even went to my
Looking forward to
doctor,
working
said,
with you,
"Hey,
Mama,
I'm
so
struggling
we
with
can
this
change your
fatigue. I can't
family
figure it out. Can
legacy
you
for the
help
better.
me?" He said, "Sure, we'll check your thyroid, we'll check some labs and see what's going on." A couple days later, I get a call. "Oh, all your labs are normal. You're fine. I'll see you next year." And it was just this moment where I knew deep down something was wrong and my doctor wasn't going to help me. So I knew I had to take my health into my hands and figure out what was wrong. And through years of trial and error, I discovered that I was putting excess stress on my body without even knowing it. And it was causing my hormones, specifically my adrenal hormones, my thyroid hormones, to not be functioning properly, to not be optimal to where I could feel energy at all. I just didn't have the hormones to fuel the body the way that it needed to be. And once I decreased my physical stress, my mental stress, everything changed. And now I can get through the day without that afternoon slump, without, snapping at my kids. I can play with my kids after dinner. I don't have to sit down. And it's just this feeling of being free.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you were able to figure this out, because even me right now, just had my 4th baby, and the last few days I'm like, I feel it in the evenings, in the afternoons. I'm so much more tired. And I typically just drink 1 cup of coffee a day in the mornings. And I told my husband yesterday, I'm like, I finally feel like I have to have like a second cup in the middle of the day, but I don't want to. I don't want that fake energy. And I try to prioritize sleep. I usually go to sleep before 11 o'clock every night, between 10 and 11, because I'm like, I know sleep is so important for our energy levels. Can you share like what kind of stressors were in your life at that point? Like you said, some physical and mental stress that was like draining your energy.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, a big thing, one of them was diet. I was eating a very healthy diet, but almost to the point of being too restrictive and not giving my body the nutrients that it needed. So I wasn't eating enough carbohydrates. A lot of the fad diets are kind of centering around this low carb lifestyle. And that just did not work for me. And it doesn't work for a lot of women. I was also doing just a modified version of intermittent fasting where I would wait until a certain time in the day to eat. And again, like I would wake up hungry, but I wasn't listening to my body. I wasn't feeding it. I was waiting because some health guru said, you know, you should only eat a certain number of hours in a day. And I was just shutting off my body's voice telling me to eat, and I just wasn't listening. Another thing was exercise. I was exercising way too much. I was working out 6 days a week. I was not resting the way I should have been. I wasn't listening to my body. I would absolutely dread getting up and going to my Sunday morning cycling class. And I was to the point where I wasn't even getting that post-workout high anymore. Like my body could not even generate enough norepinephrine and epinephrine and adrenaline to get that high. I was so depleted. Those were two big physical stressors that I had going on. And then just the mental stress of being a mom and trying to do and be everything to everyone. That mental stress was really just bringing me down too.
That makes sense. I mean, I've never really got into like exercising strictly. And when I exercise, I prefer more like stretching and yoga and Pilates. I don't like the hardcore cardio classes. When I had a gym membership, I would avoid them. I'm like, I don't like them. They're just too intense for me. I felt like they were just too intense. Yeah, feel like you had a really good workout, but I felt like more tensed afterwards versus like more like relaxed. And you were saying like you were doing more like intensity workouts. Is that what was causing more of your stress?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So what else did you notice that was happening like with your body? Because that when we're super stressed out, that messes with our hormones, correct?
Yep.
So one of them was extreme fatigue. What are other symptoms that you were experiencing, maybe other moms can relate to, when your adrenal hormones are messed up and your thyroid hormones are messed up from chronic stress? Because chronic stress does affect our body eventually. You want it or not, like your body can only handle and tolerate so much until you're going to start experiencing physical symptoms of chronic stress.
Yeah, absolutely true. So I would always crash in the afternoon. I had this baseline level of fatigue, but afternoons were always the worst. And I would be so tired, but I could not sleep well at all. You would think being tired all day, you would sleep like a baby, but I could fall asleep, but I could not stay asleep. I was waking up multiple times a night. And then my hair was falling out in just handfuls. It just kept falling out. Nobody likes that look, right? Oh my gosh. And one other thing is I wasn't going to the bathroom. I mean, no one likes to talk about it, but constipation is a huge sign that your hormones aren't functioning well. And if you're not having a bowel movement every day, something is not right in your body. And that's a huge sign of not only adrenal imbalance, but thyroid imbalance as well.
Oh, wow. I had no idea about the constipation. I've heard about like hair loss and like sleeping problems. And then that would, the poor sleep it's like created that cycle for you and making you even more tired. And then all that stress made you sleep even worse. Okay, so can you kind of see, like you started to notice, okay, I'm having these problems. What did you do first that, kind of got the ball rolling, that, you started to make some changes in your life? Because when you're kind of in that position, you're already really overwhelmed, right? When you're so stressed and overwhelmed to begin with, adding one more thing feels like too much. And so we have to kind of start out with like baby steps moving forward, just like anything in life. When we're so overwhelmed with just like our house or whatever, if we try to tackle everything at once, we get even more overwhelmed. So what was your starting point, and kind of like walk us through that?
Yeah. So a big thing I realized was that I needed looking for answers outside of myself and start listening to my body. So what that looked like is when I'm dreading going for a workout, I'm not going to go. I'm going to listen to my body and I'm going to rest. And when I'm hungry in the morning, when I wake up, I'm going to eat because that's my body telling me to eat. I'm not going to listen to someone who's not me say, you can only eat for X amount of hours in a day. No, I'm going to listen to my body. And when my body is telling me I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. Just simple little things like that, just simply tuning into my body and listening to what it has to say instead of ignoring it was huge for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How do you find that balance? Let's say if you have adrenal fatigue and you're tired all the time, right? Let's say you're just exhausted, especially in the afternoons, and you just want to veg out and not do anything. But at the same time, how are you going to make positive changes in your life if you're just sitting there vegging out, scrolling through your phone because you're too tired? So where's that balance, would you say? Like,
Yeah.
like listening to your body because you're exhausted and, giving it the rest. But then like you are sleeping and it still feels like it's not enough, right? Because you're still exhausted. So how do you break that cycle?
I think it's really about tuning in to what's important to you. And I really stress having a why in life. For me, my why has always been my kids and wanting them to have the best life possible. So if I'm tired, but they want me to play with them, I just think about them and I am going to get up and I'm going to play with them. But on the other hand, if it's like something like chores, doing laundry or doing the dishes, like that doesn't really affect my kids directly. So I can wait on something like that and then take the rest that I need and just know that in me resting and taking that time, it is in the long run going to be better for them because I don't want them to see me as the mom who always lays on the couch. That's not how I want to be remembered when they look back on their childhood. So taking the steps to fix my adrenal dysfunction was really them and wanting them to see me as the energetic, fun mom.
If you're a mom that struggles with handling her challenging emotions in a healthy way, listen up. I got a tool for you. If you go in the show notes of this podcast, you will see a link where you can sign up for a 5-day free mini course. And in that mini course, you get to learn actual practical things that you can do in the moment and outside of the moment to be more patient and calm so you're not as overwhelmed, so you're not as stressed, and actual ways to learn to de-stress yourself and calm your nervous system down. How often do we hear that we shouldn't react, we should respond? And the problem is, well, how? In the moment, I don't know how because I'm so overwhelmed and so triggered. In this mini course, you get to learn the how. I am so excited that I have these skills that I can share with you. So go in the show notes, click on the link, enter your email, and then you can start the 5-day free mini course.
So I don't know this, but I'm just going to ask you, do they not have any specific tests that show them that you have adrenal fatigue? Like that's not like a blood test you can take or anything.
Yeah, you can. You can actually do a blood, it's just like a finger prick test, and you do that a couple times a day. There's also a saliva test that you could do a few times a day. and it will show you your cortisol levels throughout the day. And there are normal cortisol patterns. It's called the diurnal curve. Or people who have dysregulated adrenals, you could see a few different things. Some people literally just have a flat line. They don't get any spikes in cortisol throughout the day. In a normal curve, you will see a big spike first thing in the afternoon. That's your cortisol awakening response. And you'll see that spike, and then it will just gradually decrease throughout the day and then be at its lowest in the evening and towards bedtime. But like I said, some people will just have the flat curve where they don't get any spike at all. And that's where they're just tired all day. Some people will just have a smaller spike in the morning. They're not getting the full awakening response. Those are people who have a really hard time getting out of bed in the morning.
Okay. Well, if cortisol is your stress hormone, right? So then why do you want it to spike? Don't you want it to be more like level? I guess
you want it to spike in the morning because that's what wakes you up. And then you have that energy throughout the day, and then it's low in the evening when you want to go to bed. And you can definitely see in some people who have hyperadrenal states that they're going to spike, but they're not going to come down as easily as the normal curve. They're going to stay up there. And those are those people who are constantly stressed out all day long. They're wired but tired. They're anxious. They are jittery. It's those people that just go, 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 and they just can't calm down.
Okay. So what are some then starting points for moms? What are some 3 things that you would suggest to start out with to start reducing your stress level? I understand like sleep is huge, and I talk about that quite a bit because sleep is so important. And if you have a hard time sleeping or falling asleep, you got to figure out what the issue is so you can sleep well, because I know that when I don't get enough sleep, boy, I'm not a pleasant person to be around with. And like my kids know that, my family knows that, and I feel it. Like I'm more on edge all day long. I'm a lot more frustrated. I don't want to snap at my kids, but I will notice that I am snapping. And so I tried to do my best to prioritize my sleep as much as I can. And like last night, which was the first time my baby, I fed her at like 8:00. She went to sleep and she woke up at 4:45 in the morning. So that's like almost 9 hours. And she's 2.5 months old. And I'm like, oh girl, let's continue that. That was so nice. So we need to continue that. Because I woke up at 4:45, I heard her make noise, and I'm like, wait, it's already, because typically she'd get up at like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning to eat. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, let's do this again.
Amazing.
That sleep, yes. Okay, so what are some few things that you think moms need to focus on?
Yeah, so number 1, and this was a big one for me, don't drink your coffee first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. You can still have coffee in the morning, but either have it with breakfast or after breakfast. You don't want to consume it on an empty stomach. Okay. Number 2.
I'm guilty of that. Can you explain why?
Yeah. So caffeine in coffee is a metabolic stimulator. It gets our metabolism going, right? It's a stimulant. And if you don't have food, if you don't have energy, calories in your system to support that metabolic stimulation, your blood sugar is going to crash. And that dip in blood sugar causes your stress hormones to go off, to increase that blood sugar back up. And you're going to get jittery and anxious from that caffeine, and then that blood sugar drop, and then that increase in stress hormone.
Okay. Well, what about like if you wake up in the mornings or you're still not hungry? to eat, but then you're tired and you want your coffee to kind of like wake you up. What do you do then? Do you have like a banana or like something
Yes,
small to just kind of eat a little bit and then have the coffee?
absolutely. Anything small. You could have, like you said, a piece of fruit, a banana, maybe a small piece of toast. Just get something in your stomach before you have that coffee.
Mm, okay. Because then the coffee makes your cortisol levels even higher. Is that what it does?
So when you have the coffee, it revs up your metabolism. And because you didn't eat anything, you don't have any glucose or calories available. So your blood sugar drops really low, too low. Your body's like, no, my blood sugar shouldn't be that low. We have to get it up. And the way your body does that is by spiking your stress hormones, that because the stress hormones then bring your blood sugar back up.
Okay, so you're pretty much creating your own stress.
Absolutely.
Like
Yep.
coffee first thing in the morning. Okay, that is really good to know. Now,
Yeah.
starting tomorrow, differently. This is
I
really
know.
because I drink coffee on an empty stomach in the mornings. And so, okay, this is awesome. Great. Okay, what is another thing that moms can do differently?
Another one is when you're eating, whether it be a meal or a snack, don't just eat a carbohydrate by itself. You always want to accompany that carbohydrate with either a protein source or a fat source. And this is pretty much for the same reason as the coffee. When you just have a carbohydrate, your blood sugar is going to go up, but then it's going to come crashing back down. And the same storm is going to start happening. When your blood sugar crashes, that signals your stress hormones to get that blood sugar back up. And then you're going to have that stress response. So instead, by eating your carbohydrates with a protein or with a fat, your blood sugar isn't going to spike as high. It's going to stay more stable. So you're not going to get that dip in blood sugar. So again, just you're basically preventing that stress response again from that dip in blood sugar.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much that blood sugar spikes affect our energy levels.
It's huge.
You just don't ever think about it. You're like, oh, stressed. You think about what's that word? The outside of like environment. Oh, like things, emotional things going on, or things I have to do around the house, or the kids. You think of external, that's the word, external stress that causes like, oh, your, hormones to go whack, but it's actually food and like what kind of food that we eat and when we eat it, like that. Just that's all brand new for me. I think that's really, really cool, because then that is something that is in our control, because external environment oftentimes, like things that are thrown at us, some things we can't control, but this is something we can control. Can you give us a few like healthy ideas? Because I know that is one of the things that I struggle with, having healthy, I prefer to eat healthy because I feel better, but just I have a hard time coming up with healthy ideas. So if we're thinking like, okay, we're eating carbs, like we're eating a piece of toast, healthy ideas like, okay, you can put avocado. What else?
Yeah, a nut butter. You can put nut butter on it. I do love avocado toast for sure. Even just don't be afraid of butter. Get yourself some really good organic grass-fed butter and slather that on that piece of toast. Or if you're dairy intolerant, you could get some ghee, use that instead.
So grass-fed butter. I know I use Carrie's Gold butter.
Yes, that stuff is amazing. I love that.
Like it too. Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah. And then, I mean, for snacks, I like Greek yogurt is really high in protein. You could get the jerky or any kind of meat stick. You could do little like Baby Bell cheese, string cheese. I always have nitrate and nitrite free deli meat on hand for a quick snack. I love these little bean snacks. They're called Bada Bean, Bada Boom, I think. And they have all different flavor varieties. They're really good for a quick snack.
Okay. Yeah, those are good ideas. I struggle with my boys coming from school and they're always hungry. Like
They're always starving.
they're always starving. I'm like, I feel like I feed you all day long. Like you're
Yes.
in my kitchen all the time. They're like, I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm like, I just fed you. Because they want to have carbs, and my oldest is like, I want meat and I want carbs. Like that's his big thing, meat and carbs.
Yes. Oh, you know what? Get some crackers and slice some cheese and deli meat, and they can have like little meat and cheese and cracker sandwiches. I love those. Those are so good.
Yeah, he would really like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've noticed that a lot of moms have a hard time investing in themselves. They think, oh, I'll just figure this out on my own. I'll get it eventually. I just need to try harder. But has it worked? Has it really, really worked for you? I know that I personally had to go through a season in my life where I had to invest a lot financially to become a better version of myself. I was really struggling. I was in a dark place and I needed somebody to hold my hand and tell me what the next step was. I did not want to be the mom that is angry, that is overwhelmed, that is irritated, that is frustrated, that is snappy at my kids. That's not the kind of mom I wanted my kids to remember. So I ended up going to counseling and investing into myself. I learned so much through that. And now I am so passionate in helping moms to become better versions of themselves. Oftentimes, we just don't know where to start. None of us were really taught how to regulate our own emotions under stress. Most of us have no idea how to do that, and our parents never did it. Nobody taught us. And sometimes we really just need someone to hold our hand and tell us what to do. I'm here for you, Mama. In the show notes, you can sign up for my monthly membership where you get to learn how to become a more patient mom. You get to learn how to regulate your own challenging emotions. We get to do things proactively where we support ourselves so we are more patient to begin with. Also, I offer now one-on-one coaching for moms that really need the one-on-one, who are really, really struggling, who don't want to talk about their problem in a group setting, but they really need that support. They need to figure out why they're stressed out to begin with, how to cut their stress out of their lives, how to manage their stress, how to regulate their own emotions in a way that works for them. I just want to let you know I got you, Mama. So check out in the show notes. You can email me directly for the membership, or you can email me directly at hello@emotionallyhealthylegacy.com.
What is a couple more things that you would suggest for regulating the stress hormone?
I like regular movement throughout the week, nothing too intense. If you're a person who does do a lot of intense workouts, I would definitely take a week or so and listen to your body and how it is responding to your exercise. I was finding that if I was doing a really intense workout, a couple hours later, I was having a huge energy crash, and it was because my workout was too intense. So if that resonates with you, if you find that you're crashing a couple hours after your workout, I would definitely say scale back on your workout, scale back on the intensity, scale back on the number of days per week that you're working out. I personally went from working out 6 days a week to just 3 days a week, doing strength training only, no cardio, and it made a world of difference. Even just walking every day, taking a walk around your neighborhood or going to the park for a walk, just get some kind of movement in can be really good for your hormones.
Okay. What do you think about yoga? You feel like
Love yoga.
Yeah, because it like incorporates deep breathing, that
Mm-hmm.
calms your body down, and then like stretching that calms your body down and also works on like, strength and balance all at the same time. Yeah, I've done yoga and I really enjoy it. I just don't like the heat yoga. I'm like,
Oh, me neither.
for me, like I've taken classes at Lifetime where they would have heat, like hot room, and it was like 90 degrees. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just too much. Like, it's just too much.
Yeah, I did it one time. I had bought like a pass where I could go, I don't remember, 3 or 5 times. I only went one time, and I kid you not, I almost passed out. It was too much.
Yeah. I feel like that puts even more stress on your body, trying to
Yeah.
regulate that heat and, try to do the workout as well.
Yeah.
And how about one more thing that you would suggest for moms, like something practical they can implement in their life?
Yeah. The last thing I would say is start a meditation practice.
I talk about that.
Yes.
You
It's
don't
so
know how
important.
good it is until you like done it and then you stopped. And then you would be like, oh, I noticed how much impact it made on my day.
Yes. 5 minutes can make a huge difference. We all have 5 minutes, it's amazing. And it really just helps you quiet your mind so you can better tune in to your body. It's so amazing.
Yeah, I feel like meditation is like decluttering for your brain, because our
Yeah.
brain often is like go, 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 go. And I find that like I grew up in a family, and my mom will admit to it, and she got it from her mom too, but it's always like go mode. You feel like you always have to be productive, and being still is literally uncomfortable. You feel like you're wasting time by sitting there and not doing anything. And when I started doing intentional stillness, like being intentionally quiet and still, I felt restless. I felt like this is weird. This is like, I'm wasting my time. How is this like good for me? It was such a struggle in the beginning because I was so used to like go, 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 go all day. And the way I do it is I lay a mat against the wall and I put my feet up the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just turn on my app. I have breathwork app, and I just turn on like 5 minutes of breathing. And I used to do guided meditations, but right now I started to doing just the app where it just makes a noise where you breathe in, you hold it, and you breathe out. And I find that that's better for me. And sometimes I have like either a notepad or something, if all these thoughts that keep coming to my head. Like that's the struggle, to focus on your breathing. You try to focus on the breathing, and then these thoughts creep in and they distract you. Sometimes if it keeps coming back, I will like make a note so I don't forget it. But I can like honestly say it was hard and challenging at first, but like it made such a huge impact in my day. Like my nervous system is just calmer to begin with. And I do my meditation in the mornings before my kids get up.
I do too.
That's where I feel like that's when it benefits me the most. Because then when my kids get up, I'm just more in like calmer and more grounded. Yes, there's still like, frustrating moments that will happen. Like I can't control them, what mood they wake up with, but I'm able to handle those situations way more calmly if I am grounded and I'm not like, jittery and just, tense myself. And like one of the things I've mentioned to my moms before, when I started doing meditation, I started doing deep breathing as I'm doing the meditation. And my body learned that that is what I need to calm my body down when I feel kind of tense and overwhelmed. And one of the things I do with meditation, when I have my eyes closed, I will literally pretend like as I'm laying there, I take deep breaths. I pretend that I'm on the beach and like my body is like melting into the sand and like or it's made out of sand and it's like falling apart because like my whole body is relaxing. And then during the day, when I start noticing where I'm getting frustrated with my children or something is getting more intense, my body will automatically kick in the deep breathing because it has learned that that is what it needs to calm my body down. And I think I was practicing meditation for maybe like 2 weeks when I noticed that I didn't have to think about it during the day. I started to get frustrated and my body started to deep breathe on its own. And I'm like, whoa, what is happening? I'm like, this is so great because it's such a amazing tool that many of us never were taught, that it can really, really help you throughout the day to stay more like grounded and calm, because none of us want to be that mom who is snappy and frustrated and irritated all day. We don't want to be that mom. And this is one proactive way that we can support ourselves.
Absolutely. You rewired your neural pathways to calm yourself down in those situations instead of doing the old habit, the lashing out, the going off the deep end. You rewired your body to deep breathe. That's the goal, right? Like that's what we all need to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Did it feel weird for you when you first started meditating? Like the first times that you practiced it? Was it just like uncomfortable, weird? Because I've just heard about it so much before I started doing it. I'm like, I have to push myself through the stage where it feels weird and uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. I, like you, had a really hard time just sitting still. I think in our society, being busy and being on the go all the time is glorified. So we all think that that's what we have to do. And if we're sitting, we're being lazy, right? So taking that time to just sit and do nothing, I was like, but there's so many other things that I could be doing.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Yes, that's what goes to my brain. Yes, I could be doing this and this and this and this. I feel like I'm wasting time laying here.
yeah, I know. And it's so sad that that's what we think, because it's so good for our bodies to rest and take that time. And I tried the guided meditations like you did, and I could never get the benefits from the guided meditations that I can from just the silence. And it's so funny that you mentioned the beach, because I use Insight Timer to meditate. And I put on beach sounds when I meditate, because the beach is my happy place. And I will just visualize myself sitting on the beach and just facing the waves and just watching the ocean. And that's just so calming to me.
Yeah, I have mine is when I was going to therapy, I had to visualize a safe place. I had to do EMDR. I don't know if you know what that is, but one of the things I had to do is visualize a safe place that I could come back to after working through intense emotions and feelings. And mine was like on the beach, Bora Bora, like in a hammock, a white hammock, and in the shade with like a little breeze, and you hear, the waves. And that was my safe place where I felt like I could just relax, and like my mind could relax, my body could relax. And like that's another such powerful tool is that moms don't know about, visualization. Because if you're taking deep breaths, you're intentionally calming the nervous system down. And if you're visualizing your body relaxing, your nervous system will calm down. And then you can re-enter life in a much calmer state. You're a lot more peaceful. You're a lot more calm. You're a lot more patient during the day. It's such a powerful tool that literally I was not taught, and I didn't find out until about a couple of years ago. I'm like, I wish I knew this. Like nobody taught me this when I was younger.
Yeah, I love visualization. I think that's such a good tool. I use the example of you're standing in the line at the grocery store waiting to check out, and you could sit there and you could be like, oh, this is taking so long. I'm going to be late. my kid's going to start crying. What am I going to do? And you could just go to that negative place and ruminate in your head and fire off your sympathetic nervous system. Or you could take that time to just visualize, like you said, your happy place. You're in line. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. You might as well pretend you're somewhere super enjoyable, you know?
Mm-hmm. And take deep breaths as you're doing.
Yeah.
It's free. It costs you no money. You don't have to go to a salon and get a huge, facial massage to relax your body. These are things that you can implement on a daily basis that costs nothing. And can make such a huge difference in how you are. Because one of the things, like as a mom, I'm really passionate about is I'm like, I don't want my kids to remember a mom who's tired all the time, who is snappy, who is irritated, who's annoyed, who is lashing out in anger. And in order for me not to be that mom, I have to take care of myself and prioritize some of my needs. And I have to learn how to support myself proactively with things like this. And also, how am I going to teach my kids these things if I don't know how to do it myself? So I have to start with me, and then I can be more grounded and calm throughout the day, even when stressors do come along. Sorry.
Real life.
Mom stuff. Hey, little girl. The baby was crying, so.
Aww.
Okay. So I was going to ask you, what are some things, how can our listeners, find more information from you? And if maybe they want to work with you, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I hang out the most on Instagram. My handle is at Lindsey M. Dalton. It's Lindsey, M like Mary, Dalton. And I have a Facebook group as well called Energy Management for Moms. So that's where I put out a lot of content. I do have a freebie that I have. It's called Ways to Jumpstart Your Mornings, which I think all of us can benefit from. We all need a little jumpstart in our mornings that aren't going to stress our bodies out and aren't going to leave us crashing. And I do have my program, the Energy Reboot Method, and it is a week-by-week program that lasts 12 weeks. And then we have weekly live coaching calls as well inside the Facebook group. So you can come ask your questions, get coaching if you're stuck on something. And then the support from the community of women going through the program as well.
Thank you. Thank you. That's really helpful. I'm sure there's going to be some moms who are really interested in this. I think all of us could use extra energy and reducing our stress level, because our chronic stress will mess with our hormones, and it's going to affect us, how we feel during the day. And then it's also going to affect our emotional state. And if we're stressed out and we're under stress, it's so much harder to regulate your emotions and how you respond in the moment. Like, I know it for sure on myself. And so this is so, so helpful, Lindsey. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. I am so glad you were able to come on and share your knowledge. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
If you have been enjoying listening to the podcast, I would love for you to go on iTunes and leave a review and let me know what you think, because this is how other people find out about it. Also, I would love for you to share my podcast on social media and tag me. Let me know if you're listening, and share it with another mom that you think this might be helpful and useful for, because I would love to spread this message, how much emotional wellness affects the rest of the family and how much impact we have as moms, and that we can set our families up for success. But it all starts with us. So if this has been helpful for you, I would love for you to share it with another mom.